Are y'all ready to head off the trail? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on a mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We'd love to have y'all. Shout out to Bumblefoot for that awesome intro music. It's just amazing. We appreciate it. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. Visit my shop, War Woman Goods, and you can also find some of my goods on my website. All right, I have a fantastic guest here tonight. I have Marti Argentino here with me tonight. And don't forget that right after our show, After Hours has a great program set up for you guys tonight. So let's get to our guest. Marti Argentino is a cryptid, paranormal, and UFO investigator who's also a lifelong extraterrestrial contactee. She's an empath with psychic abilities that manifest as a sense of knowing, and she's able to receive messages in dreams and sense energy from cryptids, spirits, and ETs. She's a truth seeker who works with her guardians and guides in her journey as a knower and experiencer across all of these diverse subject matters, which motivated her to start her own YouTube channel, the Nonnaboss Continuum, to bring awareness to all of these phenomena are connected. And it's a great channel. She's got some great interviews, y'all. And so please help me welcome Miss Nonnaboss Marti to the show tonight.
Hey, Jess.
Hey, Marti. Oh, I'm so glad you're here tonight. Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, well, of course. Yes. We have a lot in common, actually. And so I have a great time talking to you.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot in common.
We do. Yes. Well, you were born with psychic abilities. Just, I think everybody's born with psychic abilities, but some of us just kind of use them a little more, I guess, growing up. And so, yeah, not only are you very psychic, you're very in tune, but you're also a Sasquatch field researcher. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you have had a lot of experiences with UFOs and extraterrestrials and ghosts and everything else that's out in these woods, right? Yeah. Just like me.
I have. It's I always knew I was different. I always knew I processed things different. I always knew, I could always tell if something was good or bad. And I never knew how I would know that, but it was always, most of my life, it was kind of like, this isn't good, but this is good. That's kind of how I never really understood, because I didn't have anyone in my life that ever really believed that when I would say, when I would tell people, my mother or whoever, hey, I've got this, I saw this happened, and they would be like, no, it didn't. No, it didn't, and I think it's just like that generation, they just weren't able to kind of, they didn't know what to do with me, kind of, I was always feeling things, seeing things, hearing things. And I turned it off for a very, 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 very long time. And especially during my while I was raising my children, I kind of turned it off, and it's really ramped up now.
Yeah. That's interesting. And now, why do you think it's ramped up right now? Do you think it's because you're just more in tune?
I honestly believe that the journey that I have been on, doing all of these research and investigations across all of these different things, paranormal research, Sasquatch, UFOs, all these kinds of things I believe have switched it on and kicked it up into high gear. And I'm able to ascertain what's going on with me. Like I can sit there and go, okay, hold on. This is something, this is, and I'm able to figure it all out now. I'm starting to learn how to understand what I'm picking up.
Yeah.
And whether it's a spirit or if it's an ET, I do have, I do have an extraterrestrial guardian that I do a lot of work with. She's been with me my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, and I always kind of knew that there was kind of always something there. I always kind of chalked it up to like, oh, I have a guardian angel.
Yeah.
um and then to come to find out that, she's an extraterrestrial, like, an interdimensional being. And it surprised me. It kind of scared me at first.
Yeah.
But then when I realized that she has nothing but the best intentions for me and to help guide me and protect me. And hey there, Matt. And it's made all the difference in the world for me to
Yeah.
start learning and getting more in tune, with my guides and my guardians. So
Wow. Well, speaking of family,
mhm.
we have your son in the chat tonight,
Yeah,
Mr. Matt Williamson
yeah,
with Supernatural Spectrum.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we love
Hey,
Matt. He's a
Matt.
friend. He's a friend of the show. Okay, we've had him here before. So
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
we have, and so you're the generations before you might not have been so open to these
Yeah.
abilities. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean they didn't have them. Maybe they just weren't understanding them, or it was a little more taboo back then, perhaps.
A
But
lot
see,
taboo.
but your son actually has the same abilities, and
Yeah.
he and I have talked about this numerous times.
Yeah.
And I would say that you have done a great job of nurturing those of those
Thank
abilities
you.
in
Thank you.
him. And I'm trying to do the same for my son, because this world needs more psychically switched on humans.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I've always known that, both of my sons actually have abilities, and it's been a joy to
yeah,
kind of see them on their paths. And yeah, Matt will be like, "Hey, guess what I can do?" And I'll be like, "Okay." Like, and
yeah,
it's been a fun journey to watch them both
yeah.
go through with, learning their gifts. And yeah,
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm watching it in
it
my
is.
son too. Yeah. My son's a
It
little bit
is.
younger right now, but I'm sure, you got to start him early and
Yes.
really nurture at a young age. Yeah, I just did a podcast with some ladies from Raising Star Seeds, and they
Oh,
specialize
really?
in talking about
Huh.
raising star seeds and nurturing those psychic abilities. So it's very
Yeah.
important. Yeah, especially a lot of these kids are having supernatural experiences.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm sure Matt did from a young age. You did from a
Yeah.
young age. I
Yeah.
know I did. And I'm sure my son is, because I know he's here when I'm experiencing this stuff. But yeah, it's something that everyone should be aware of with their kids.
Mhm.
Now you started having ET contact when you were young. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I It's kind of crazy because, like, I can't actually, all I can tell you is that I have not gone through any, like, regression, sessions or anything like that. So I don't have memories as to what it was, where I was taken, or that kind of a thing. I have a lot of screen memories is what I have. I have a lot of screen memories. Um, but I always knew when something happened. I always knew because the next day or two, I would, I would always feel very just not right. Just, I knew something was off. I would always know something was off. And now, as an adult, now I still have those kinds of
Mhm.
things happen to me. But at least now I'm able to recognize that, okay, hold on. Yeah. And I call them downloads, and I know a lot of
Yeah.
people do, but I get downloads where they give me information, and I don't know it or remember it at the moment or in the moment, but then
Yeah.
it always makes sense to me, or I'll know how to do something that I didn't know how to do 2 weeks ago or something. It's very but yeah, just as a kid, I remember seeing lights. We lived kind of across the street from, I grew up in a very, very small town in Indiana. And I grew up across the street from this huge, like park area. They called it a park, but it wasn't really, it was just a bunch of woods, and it was many, many, many acres. And I just remember being able to look out the window. We lived in a second story house, and I would look, and I would just see the lights, and I would see them kind of bouncing back and forth and up and through the trees, and I knew that they were there. And I would say to my mom, I'd be like, hey, I'm lights. Oh, no, 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 it's just people over there with flashlights. It's just people in the woods with some flashlights. They're mushroom hunting, or she would make up, she never wanted to believe that it was anything other than people with flashlights in the woods kind of thing.
Right.
But I
It's the
knew
same
that there was
information.
something, I
Yeah.
knew that there was something. And I knew that a lot of times I had missing time. I don't talk a lot about this. I don't
Yeah.
even really talk a lot about this with my own kids, honestly. They know I've had experiences, but I've never really given them actual specifics before. But I had a lot of missing time. And I never understood that. And I think that when I started having my children that's when I knew for sure that I was being taken, and I knew that my sons were also being taken.
Oh,
Yeah,
my goodness.
and that was hard. That was a difficult thing to know. I'm sorry. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
It just gets a little emotional because when you think of it from a parent's perspective, you do not want anything to touch your children that you don't say it's
You're
okay
right.
to do. And you don't let people get close to your children that you don't know. And at that time, I had no idea. I knew that these things were around me. I knew that I was having paranormal experiences. I knew I was having ET contact, but I didn't know how to protect my children.
Yeah.
And so that's when I shut it off in my mind. I just kind of ignored it. Every single time there was something that happened, I just ignored it. I knew it was there, but I had to ignore it. And only now have I been kind of opening up about it.
Wow. I mean, that's very traumatic. Our kids
Mhm.
are off limits, and I had
Exactly.
an experience where I woke up with ETs in my house, and my son was right beside me. And, they have a way to shut you down to where
They
you
do.
can't move and you go to sleep, and you
Hmm.
kind of blink out. And,
Yeah.
and so, it's almost like you got to give it to God in some instances where you don't know what
Hmm.
happened, and that's why a lot of people don't want to do regressive therapy and stuff, including myself. I'm not so comfortable in knowing everything because
Hmm.
it could be really traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you
I
don't, you never really know if they're here
Mm-mm.
to help you or hurt you. You don't
Right.
really know what their intentions are. There's plenty of people out there who have very negative experiences, and then there's other people out there who have great experiences. Um, and you really don't know. You're not sure where the peace came from was and I know Matt and Matt's talked about it on his channel, and when we did go to Mayaka that weekend, and
Mhm.
I there's a psychic there that they work with, and she was there, and there was just this moment in time where it was just us, and I just started kind of like opening up to this total complete stranger. I have no
Yeah.
idea, forgive me, I'm sorry, my nose is running a little bit.
It's
um
it's okay to open it up to strangers when you're on the same vibe. Okay, when you're on
Yeah,
that
and
frequency.
I mean, I had, like, I didn't even really know her at all, and it was like all of a sudden I found myself opening up, and I'm going, "What am I doing here?" I'm telling this lady
Right.
like all this stuff, and she literally looked at me because she's very, very psychic. She sees them, she hears them, she talks to them. They're very, very in her life.
Yeah.
And she literally looked at me and she goes, they're not here to hurt you. She's like, they're not trying to hurt you. She goes, they've been protecting you your whole life. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
And she goes, yeah. She goes, your bloodline is protected.
Yeah.
And it was like, all of a sudden it made sense to me when she said that. And then the peace came over me. And then that's when I said, okay, I'm going to learn about this and I'm going to figure this out for myself, you know? And
Wow.
that's what started my journey. And it's been not even quite a year yet. So I'm saying it just seems like the more open more I open up to the phenomena or to the extraterrestrials and
Mhm.
to the paranormal, I'm getting more and more and more abilities and stronger and more
Yeah.
clear with my abilities. So it's been an amazing journey actually.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like this is your path? Your life path is
Yes.
to have contact with all of these cryptids and have these
Yes.
experiences?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like it's a calling. I
Yeah.
feel I feel I feel like I'm sorry guys, I started to cry. My nose got crazy. Yeah,
I'm giving you an energetic hug through the computer right
yes,
now.
thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, I definitely feel like the cryptids especially I feel more comfortable with the cryptids and with the extraterrestrials than I
Mhm.
do sometimes with the paranormal because the paranormal for me, I I'm only beginning to learn the difference between energies as far as I can tell of course this is positive and negative, but I'm not
Mhm.
always 100% because I don't visually see them. So I'm not always able to kind of ascertain whether it's this is something that's dangerous to me. I'm still
Yeah.
learning to protect myself and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's it's just been it's been interesting. I can tell you it's kind of been, 100 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour every single day for the last, like 8 months, 10 months, about 10 months now. It's been crazy.
Well, I love the fact that you and your son go out in the woods together and do
Yeah.
Sasquatch research, and
Yeah. We
that's
do.
awesome. I'm looking forward to doing that with my son one day. He's a little young right now to be doing that, but yeah, I want to hear
Yeah.
about some of your experiences out in the swamps. I mean, because you guys go to the Everglades and the Green Swamp, and
Yeah.
you have a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
contact down there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. We do. We there's an area that we do like to go to. It's my favorite area. I feel so much um it's a very peaceful area for me, and it's in the Big Cypress swamp area in the Everglades out and it's I don't know. It's just super peaceful and it's very zen for me.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of Sasquatch there. There's a lot of trails. So there's a lot of people. And that's what they do. They love to watch the people. And
Yeah. People watching.
that's yeah, because it's like I think there's like 5 different trails that you can go on, and they all do kind of interconnect. So
Mhm.
every time we've taken, doesn't matter what trail we've taken, we're finding sign and evidence everywhere we go. Like every single
Yeah.
trail we're looking and we're like, oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Look at so they're there, they're watching. We found prints there. We've gotten some photos and interesting things. So, it's been a lot of stick breaks, a lot of tree structures there. Here in Florida, I mean, I don't I've never researched anywhere but Florida, but excuse me, but from what I see, there's a lot of smaller structures here because we don't have those gigantic, like, woods, like trees that they can build
Mhm.
these huge teepee. You see a lot of smaller things. So you have to
Yeah.
kind of look, you got to kind of look closer to the ground, actually, for
But
these
you
kinds of
guys,
things.
y'all have gators and snakes though,
Yes.
so you've got added
Yeah.
added
Yeah.
dangers, and
Oh, yeah.
that scares the hell out of me, actually, thinking
Yeah.
about alligators out there too.
But I don't worry about the alligators, and I'll tell you
Yeah,
why. They're,
because you're from Florida.
unless it's mating season, you're not on their menu the way
Oh,
everybody thinks. Really, they're really not.
I was going to
They're
say
not
they
as
try to hit. I thought you were going to say they're going to try to hit on you or something during mating season. Just kidding.
Yeah, but
Those
they're
darn
not,
alligators.
they're, unless it's mating season, or you have, or you come across a female who has baby, like
Yeah.
they're not out to eat your face off, like they're really not. They're not. They just want to be left alone.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel a little better about you guys being out there.
I'm more
Yeah.
worried about people, okay?
Oh,
Like
me
humans.
too.
Humans are what scare me. That's what
Yeah.
scares me.
That's the same. That's the
Yeah.
biggest threat when I'm out in the woods, or other humans. And
Mhm.
not too far from where I live, out in Alabama, about a couple of weeks ago, a young couple was accosted by someone out in the woods pretending to be having car troubles.
Mm.
And it was a setup from the beginning. And the guy got shot and killed. And yeah, and he shot the lady back too. So but that was in a
Awful.
national forest. Okay. And in my teams we do research out in those national forests sometimes. And it's just it's something that everyone needs to be aware of, especially with our
Mhm.
economy being bad right now. There's a lot of people
Mhm.
living in the forest
Yeah.
and in camps.
Well,
So
down
watch
here,
out.
down here, I feel like if you're, the swampy areas is where they like to be, in my opinion. Again, I
Mhm.
don't know
Yeah.
everything. I just think that they like those areas because, there's it is so hot here, right? I mean, it's the heat is a monster. The humidity
Oh
is a
yeah.
monster. So it's kind of like, I could see them wanting to be in the swampy areas because believe it or that's where the shade is. That's where the water is to keep cool. And, so I could understand them wanting to be in those swampy areas here.
Right.
There's other areas that they're in as well that are very close to people here.
Hmm.
I think that we are beginning to shrink their areas down by the development that goes on
Hmm.
here, especially here in South Florida in the Tri-County area. Miami-Dade and Broward and Palm Beach counties. The develop the it doesn't stop. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a brand new community going up every, all over the place all the time,
Oh
and
yeah. Here too.
their areas are shrinking. They
Yeah.
really are. They're getting squeezed into very tight pockets,
Mm.
for sure.
Well, I remember you telling me, and maybe it was Matt, but you guys had some activity where you guys were you had rocks being thrown at you, and it actually damaged someone's car that you were with pretty bad. So
Yeah,
tell me
yeah,
about that. I would love to hear that
yeah.
story. Yeah.
Well, we went. It was. We went. We Matt and I got there before his friend did, and we got there before dark. We did a short hike. We went and did a short hike, and so they knew we were there. Of course, they knew we were there. I'm sure by the time by pulling up, but we did a short hike. Came back to the car. We were waiting on his friend, and started to get dark. And we were also doing some other paranormal UFO
Uh-huh.
experiments too. Like we do that all. We're always doing some crazy thing,
Oh
and
yeah. Matt's
so
got some really nifty Gansfield and
yeah,
Estes experiments. It's pretty
yeah.
inventive. Yeah.
Yeah, we do some interesting things. So we were
Yeah.
waiting on his friend to get there, and we his friend decided to play the Sierra Sounds.
The Ron
Now,
Moorhead tapes. Okay.
yes. Now we
Yeah.
all know, we don't know what those things are saying, right? We don't
Well,
really know what they're saying, but they were
well, you can hear them speaking all these different languages, like archaic
yeah.
Japanese and
So you don't
German and Native
yeah,
American dialects and
right.
English and
So
Spanish. It's weird, right?
yeah. So
Yeah.
so they played this, or he played this the Sierra sounds, blasting it, and so we were just kind of hanging out, seeing if there was going to be any kind of reaction, and all of a sudden we heard a rock or something get thrown at his friend's car, and then all of us, and we were kind of like, wait, we heard something got thrown at us, but we weren't sure what. We couldn't find anything. Then that was rock number one. Rock number two, that rock hit his windshield so hard that it put a nick in the windshield.
Uh-oh. Not good.
Yeah. So, and rock number three landed literally in the center of the roof of my car. And that rock, it was very small, it was like that big, not that, but still, nonetheless, we're like, okay, that's rock three.
Okay, so it was like a little pebble all the way up to a rock. So it was progressively getting bigger, it sounds like.
Yes.
Or it was throwing it harder.
And and when Matt, we took photos of it before we took it off the car. And when Matt picked it up, it was wet. And he said to me, at the time, he was like, how is this soaking wet? This is weird. There's no rain. There hasn't been any rain. There was no water on the ground or anything like that.
Sweaty palms, maybe?
So I was thinking that maybe they were holding them in their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought that might be, that's interesting. Like maybe that could be,
Maybe they were spitting them at you.
You never know, right? Sasquatch spitballs.
You never know. They could have had like a stick of bamboo and they were just doing spitballs,
Yeah.
like a blow dart.
Oh, Connor, is it your birthday? Happy birthday, Connor.
Happy birthday, Connor. Bigfoot and on. Happy birthday. Yeah.
And so the next rock, we hear it hit his friend's car, the side of the car. And again, they must have been dying laughing in the bushes back there, because we're all like with flashlights looking all over the ground, like, where did this go? So we found a rock. And of course, now it's about this big, but it had a hair on it. It had one single perfectly clear hair, just like a polar bear.
Wow.
Like one single white hair. And, and it was, there's no, trust me, everybody, polar bears are not in the swamps of Florida. They're not.
Polar bears are not. No. They're not. I don't know. No. Maybe they floated on an iceberg.
So it was right about that time that all of a sudden I started feeling as if something was sitting on my chest. And I was feeling anxiety, but I knew it wasn't my anxiety. It was definitely their anxiety. It was kind of like it was all of a sudden I knew they were telling us, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. And we weren't listening. And then they threw a big rock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I said, one. Yeah. I'm like, guys, let's go. It's time. We have overstayed our welcome and we need to go. So yeah, it was very interesting. I had not had that type of an interaction, until that night. And, so it was, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's careful. Yeah. Well, it can be dangerous out there. Now, they clearly were wanting you guys to get out of there, probably.
Yes.
And, they do love people watching, as we were talking about earlier. So
yeah, they do.
I love. Well, nobody got hurt in the process. There was a little ding in the car, and so you guys got out. You got out alive. So that's always a good thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, last night I had Bettina Moss on the show, and we talked about Dogman. Okay, and I know it's not so popular down in Florida. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you guys have Dogmen down there? And have you heard of any reports?
I have heard of reports down here, but I have not seen a Dogman. I have a photo that I think might be one, but I don't release it. I haven't released it. I won't be releasing it because it's one of those photos that you put, if I was to put out, it would be like, that's pareidolia, like, I don't know 100%. And I'm just not going to put things out. Unless I know that you can look at that photo and tell that that's a dog. You know, so
clearly a dog man, right?
yeah,
I haven't seen too many of those, and a lot of the pictures that we get, and we all know Matt does not like the red circles. Neither do I. Okay, we
no,
don't.
neither.
We call those blob squatches. Okay,
Yes,
blob.
yes, we're not, and we're
Yeah,
just not
so
going to entertain that.
we'll just
So
put it, but you don't totally discount those things because
Mhm.
you can't discount anyone's story,
No,
and
no.
their experience. However, it's to use it as hardcore evidence. Put it in a folder and tuck it away, and
Mhm.
maybe come back to it one day. Don't get rid of it, but
I mean,
yeah.
I believe that they are here in Florida. I don't think that I think they're all over. But I haven't had any experiences to date with the Dogman of any kind. But I know that there's, I think Donnie Miller and Jeff Townsend, and I think you know them,
Yeah,
Jessica.
I do. I
And
do.
yes, they had an encounter with the Dogman, and they're in Donnie's in the Panhandle. So I mean, I know, so we know at least there. So I mean, why wouldn't they be down here as well? So
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of strange cryptids up that way. So,
mhm.
yeah, I mean, I did the remote viewing show on the Loveland Frogman, and somebody in the chat said, "Oh, is it Donnie from Standing Goats Rescue? He had seen something that looked kind of like a frogman down there."
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So, I mean, these cryptids are everywhere. And something else that I did a show on with the remote viewing show was Coral Castle.
Yes.
And that's something that you're really interested in because you
Yes.
actually suggested that target for me.
I'm
And so
so
I
glad you
did
did
it.
it. I'm
Yes.
so glad you did it.
Not only did I remote view it, but I had my friend Tanya come on and she remote viewed it as well. We were going to get to the bottom of what that darn coral castle was. And we did. I think we did. So I figured maybe we could talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit if you like.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
tell me what you know about it. We'll pull a picture
Well,
up.
I have been there a couple of times. I can tell you that the energy there is amazing and it's palpable. Like you can feel the power of the energy that's in that place. And, the walls that you're showing here on this actual photo here, some of the walls on the outside of the castle, you can see where he actually that those walls, those huge, gigantic coral walls, literally he carved them out of the ground and he just sat them up, like he stood them up into place. So around the outside of the coral castle is, huge, deep, um like areas where like he just cut them out and somehow just stood them up in place. And he built a calendar.
Yeah.
There's like this like circular calendar that shows all of these different times of the year. It's unbelievable when you go there and you see the amazing things that this guy carved and created. There's even in one of the rocks, there's like a hole,
Mm-hmm.
and he put like a wire, just like looks almost like kind of like chicken wire. Like it's like this,
Mm-hmm.
it's like an X. And when you look at it at a certain time of the year, like you see all of these different through that little hole, you see all these different kinds of like constellations at different times of the
Yeah.
year. He was a stargazer, he was like secretive, but he was
Oh yeah.
like, yeah, it
Yeah.
was,
He
but the
was.
vibe is amazing. It feels so good
It
there. It
good
really
there.
does.
That's what I've heard. That's one of the
Yeah.
reports is when people go and not feeling well, if they feel sick, they leave there feeling elated and like
Mhm.
just so good. So the
Yeah.
energy is really good there. Now, this guy, his name was let's see, Edward Lead Scalnan. Okay. And he was all of 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. Okay. I pulled a picture of him up a few minutes ago. He was a smaller statured guy. Okay. And so it was really odd. Like, excuse me, how could a guy like that put these I mean, these are, 1,100 tons at least of coral. Okay.
Yeah.
Oolite limestone is what they call it. And so, when you take a tour there, you can see some of his primitive tools that he used. It was very primitive, but he would never let anybody in on his secret as to how he did these monoliths around.
Mm-hmm.
He would just say, well, I'm using ancient Egyptian technology, and if I can do it, so can you, is what he would tell people.
Yeah.
He would also work only at night. Okay. Well, and so that was getting everybody was it was very mysterious, and some teenagers snuck on the property one evening and said they had seen him moving these monoliths, and it looked like they were blimps or some sort of hydrogen balloon. They were just kind of floating through the air,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was something I wanted to look into, after you suggested that. And I think Eric Vanderlaan was on our show a couple of weeks ago, and he and I had talked about this as well. So Tanya and I looked into it, and we both saw that he did use, well, he had some knowledge of how to move heavy objects. When he came here to America, he worked for a logging company, and his specialty was moving large stumps like this onto trucks. And it takes some skills to do that. He was also a mason. He knew how to cut stone. And I'm just going to go out and say it. He had ties to the occult. Okay. And he
that
knew
makes sense.
He knew some forbidden knowledge. Okay. Or some secret knowledge. And he was a very clever fella as well. So he was able to do some things that a lot of people would not know how to do. And that includes making contraptions like this to help lift the stones up and to mine them and to move them. Now, I was picking up that he was using turbines and simple devices, okay, and such as this. I think they call this the flywheel.
Yeah, they have that on. That is definitely on display there.
Yeah.
That right there is definitely, it's one of the things that they have, but they don't know how you use them.
Well, he used that in conjunction with copper wiring, and he was using batteries. Now he did use. I'm not going to say he used the Egyptian Ankh battery, just like the Nikola Tesla electric oscillator, but he was using batteries. I think he was using some old car batteries, actually, some batteries for some vehicles. But he had some devices, like some contraptions set up.
That's so
he used.
Cool.
Yeah. So, but he was using that. Okay. But it wasn't just this. Okay. According to my data and what I was seeing, he was using what we would call sound frequency, or I guess it was sound technology. Okay. He would use things like ancient levitation technology using sounds and frequencies. Okay. And vibrations. So he was using these contraptions he made, but he was also putting something that was kind of like metaphysical into the mix and using chants and hums and different frequencies with his voice and with some kind of tools and stuff. He was making sounds to help move them along. And Tanya picked up on magnets as well. So he was using some sort of magnetic force to move all this, but it wasn't as supernatural as people thought it was, but it was a mysterious feat nonetheless. So I thought that was really cool. Now, Marty, there's a long list of the different paranormal activities that have been reported there. And have you heard of the other reports that were going on there?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll go down the list real quick. I don't want to take up all the time here. I'm interviewing you, so
I love this stuff.
Okay, so there are floating lights and balls of fire in the sky. Orbs, mist, strange forms captured in pictures, constant electronic malfunctions, shrieks, screams, UFOs, and ETs have been spotted on the ground. Okay.
Wow.
They believe there's a portal in the area. There's strange energies and temperature fluctuations. Tells of families of, they said skunk apes, but we'll call them Sasquatches that inhabited the nearby areas. Sick visitors claim they felt better, and many say they get a peaceful euphoria there, like we talked about. Fairies and gnomes Marty. Fairies and gnomes.
Mm.
They're heard chattering and they're seen there at night, hanging out with each other. And there's full-bodied apparitions, or the full-bodied apparition of Ed walking around admiring his castle, taking measurements and planning. Okay. Those are just
Wow.
some of, that's a lot of activity. Okay. For
Yeah.
one place.
And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, it's not, it's not as big as you think it would be. I mean, it's really not that big. Oh my gosh, I can't believe all that's going on there. I
Yeah.
gotta go back. I
Well,
gotta go
you're
back
gonna have to
there.
go back now. I know. I know. Well, see,
I
the
gotta
pictures
go
that
back.
I pulled up are just kind of concentrated in one area, but
Uh-huh.
I had an aerial picture, and I forgot to upload that one tonight. But yeah, it did he live in that little castle
Yes.
looking area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. You walk, there's like steps that go up to it. And he literally lived in a very, very, very tiny little section of of that upper room right there. And he's like, his bed is still there. And it was it almost looked like for lack of a better term or explanation, like a wooden hammock. It was like this piece of
Ooh.
wood, and it was like hung on chains with like a pillow and like a maybe like yeah, like
It,
he lived so miserly, like just there was nothing there. He had nothing spectacular at all. Hey there, Shane.
yeah. Oh,
And very, very, where is that? It's down in Homestead, actually. It's
down in
Homestead,
South
Florida.
Florida. The
Mhm.
very tippy point of Florida, down
Yeah.
south. Yeah.
Yeah.
South of Miami, right?
It's
Isn't
in
it
the
south?
middle of,
Yeah.
and now it's kind of like there's like, I don't know, like a dealership down the street. Like it's very built up around it. Um, and it's not, it looks bigger in the photos than it really, really is. But it's amazing. See, I had heard Eric talk about Coral Castle. It might have been when he was on Matt's channel, and I was like, I want to go there on a paranormal investigation.
Oh,
Because I think,
yeah.
yeah, because I think they're only I think there's only a couple of teams that have been able to go in there, because you're not even
Oh,
allowed to
really?
videotape. Yeah, you can take still photos, but you can't like videotape or anything like that inside. You're not allowed.
Well, you know what? He was using some ancient secret knowledge, and maybe somebody might pick up on something because I think it
Yeah.
adds to the mystery to not be
Yes.
able to take pictures there. I think there is a pretty simple explanation as to how he built it and how he made it. It's amazing the things that we're capable of as humans, but
Hmm.
to have that little extra oomph of being able to have some of that ancient knowledge, uh, it makes it magical.
Yeah.
Okay, it is magic. I think that's what the whole secret is. It's magic.
It really is. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful place. And anybody who comes to South Florida, that you definitely have to have that on your tourist card, like your bucket list for
Yeah, well,
sure.
it's on my list. I want to go down there sometime, and I know Eric was inviting us down. He's like, "Y'all come, you got to come down and investigate." I want to go do some Sasquatch research down there with you guys because I've done some in Florida actually, but it was in North Florida in Chattahoochee
Hmm.
at a residential place.
Yeah.
And Connor's been there before. Connor's in the chat tonight. Happy birthday again, Connor.
Yeah,
And
Connor, happy birthday.
yeah, there are a lot of haunts down there, a lot of tales of Sasquatch, including, I know that
Mhm.
we've talked about, Connor and I talked about the Ocheesee Pond Man, okay, up
Yeah,
in
the
North Florida.
Ocheesee Pond Wild Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's an interesting story. And
it is
he
an
was
interesting
actually
story.
captured, yeah, and taken in and probably lived in a hospital over there for a while. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot of very rich history and historical haunts. Okay,
there's a
so
lot.
yeah, do you do any like ghost investigation and things like that? I know Matt does.
I just do what I do with Matt. I don't, I have not gone out. Because down here, there's a lot of teams, but they charge you for
Oh,
going out with them. So
okay.
I have not done that, but yeah, Matt, course, Matt gets invited everywhere. You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
guy's got so much, he's got all these friends and he's like, yeah, I just let him tag along. I'm like, all right. And I guess
Right.
he probably feels weird being like, hey, can my mom come too? I'm
Hey,
sure he
but
doesn't want to do
you're a
that.
cool mom. You're one of those cool moms that everybody wants there. So yeah. Hey,
But
I'd bring
yeah,
you
no,
along. Yeah.
I like to, I like to, when we were in Mayaca the last time, a few months ago, and we were doing a session in the Tatum House, which is from 1889.
Mhm.
He's gonna start charging me. And I had a demon try to jump me.
Oh no.
Yeah, and Matt actually got that on film.
Oh, did
And
he?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and that was the first time I'd ever had anything like that happen. I'd not had anything try to enter my body before, and it was very I was sitting down at the time, and I had like this, the necrophonic app. I was just using the necrophonic app, and we were just asking some questions. And then I just felt like ice cold hit the back of my, like, calf of my leg, and it
Mhm.
just started creeping up my body, this ice cold. And I knew that something negative had come in, because I even said to Matt, did you feel something negative just come in? And as soon as I said that, that's when it happened. It started happening. And I wasn't even really even aware he was even, that he got it on film. I just kind of sat there and was like, whoa, like, no. And I just started to like, no, you better stop, better
Yeah.
cut it out. You're not allowed to do that. And it stopped. Although it did on the necrophonic app. And I think Matt's going to have this in his film. It actually cursed at me and said, F you, swine.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well.
It
Well,
said
hey, hey
demon.
to
It
you
said,
too,
first it
sir.
said demon. I think it said demon. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. It said demon. And I said, yeah, that's right. You're a demon. It's a demon. Like, stop now.
Yeah.
And then it said that. It said, F you, swine. So yeah.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah.
I so Tanya and I and Barry Littleton came on the show as well, but we were showing maps, and I forgot to upload it tonight. But we have a map of the ley lines all over the
Mm,
United States,
I saw that. Yeah.
and as a matter of fact, they all kind of conjoin right off the coast of Florida,
Hmm.
right by Coral Castle.
Right by
Okay.
Coral Castle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there. And so there's going to be a whole lot more high strangeness, because the ley lines are the Earth's energy grid, basically, and those are lines of areas of high strangeness. It
Hmm.
connects
Hmm.
one highly strange area to the next. It's like a road map.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would assume there's a whole lot of stuff going on down there.
Yes.
And there are some seriously haunted places. I actually went down the list with Eric from War Party Paranormal, asking him if he had been to the top 5 most haunted places down in Florida, and I think he had been to all of them. So
Probably that group they do a lot. They're very, very, very active, that group.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, and it's the explorers all came here and landed down there, and like DeSoto, and I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not a history buff, but I do know that there's a lot of historical stuff down there, which brings ghosts. Now, how do you feel about everything being connected as far as ghosts and UFOs and ET and you know Sasquatch?
It's all connected for me.
Yeah.
From what I see, it's all connected. It's everything that we use to investigate the paranormal,
Mhm.
everything that we use to investigate with the Sasquatch are very, very similar.
Mhm.
They're not, I mean, we're all
Yeah.
looking for the same kind of thing, and we're learning that we're able to use paranormal, equipment in our Sasquatch research.
Yeah.
So that tells me a lot right there. I mean, portals and all of these kinds of things. I mean, why, in the paranormal, if you said, oh, I used a Ouija board and we opened up a portal, no one would look
Uh-oh.
at you weird, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would look at you weird. They'd be like, oh my gosh, you probably did open a portal.
Yeah.
But if you say to somebody like, hey, I saw a Sasquatch come out of a portal, or where did the
Yeah.
Sasquatch go? He was right here, but then he disappeared. But that shouldn't be so much far of a stretch for people.
Right.
In my opinion, I feel like, the tools that we use just in paranormal,
Yeah.
or even orbs. I mean, people will sit there and be like, yeah, orbs are
Yeah.
real, ghosts are real, aliens are real. So why would Sasquatch not be real?
Yeah.
Like,
That was my sentiment exactly. When I first
yeah,
got into all this, I had been seeing ghosts my whole life. I had seen UFOs. I had seen all sorts of weird stuff.
yeah,
I was like, well, if that stuff's real, why wouldn't a Bigfoot be real? You know?
exactly.
And then I found out that they are real
Yeah,
from firsthand experience.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Like when you have that first sighting, and I have a larger audience in front of me, so I'm going to just say it. And I know a lot of
okay.
researchers might not like what I got to say, but I'm going to tell you, you don't have to go traipsing through, you know, a certain kind of woods. Go to somewhere and camp. Just camp. Just set up your camp and hang
Yes.
out, talk, have fun. I'm telling you, they come to see you. They come to check you out. They come to see what's going on. You don't have to go, hiking for days in the woods trying to find
Right.
them. They come to you. They will come to you.
They love people watching, and
Yes,
so
they
you're
do.
100% right. We get more activity in our base camp sometimes,
Mhm.
a lot of
Yep.
times, than more than we do when we're out hiking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they just like to come in and mess with you and throw rocks at you and stuff. So
Mhm.
let them mess with you, but you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
Don't be
Mhm.
scared. Okay,
Don't be
don't be
scared.
scared. Yeah, yeah. You got to
There's
be
not,
tough.
yeah, I mean, they're not, they're just coming to check you out. And I think that that's, to me, is their kind of their chink in the armor. They're very curious. They're very,
Yeah.
very curious.
They are curious. Well,
Yeah.
you're curious, and that's what got you
Yeah.
into this. And so I love that. Now, your YouTube channel is amazing, and you
Thank
do some of the
you.
best interviews with people, and
Thank you.
everybody can really open up to you, and you've got that motherly vibe there, and just very caring and on that
Mhm.
frequency. So it makes it even more enjoyable.
Thank you
Okay,
so
so
much.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to get to 500 subscribers. That's all I want. I want my community tab.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I know we're not, we've still got a few minutes, but let's go ahead and pull up your YouTube so everybody can go subscribe to the
Yes,
Nonnaboss Continuum.
please.
Yeah,
Please. I
everybody
just want
please
my
go
community
subscribe.
tab.
We're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. Yeah, it's Spaced Out Radio. Anything we can do to help. Yeah, because
Thank you.
you are doing wonderful work, and
Thank
just
you.
being authentic, and telling your story and allowing other people to tell their stories.
Mm,
I feel like it's almost therapy,
it
when we're
is.
able to all tell our stories
It
and
is.
connect.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only do you tell your story, your son has a channel as well. And so, and you have a
Mm.
show with your son now. So tell us about
Yes.
that.
Yes, we just started a new show. It's Monday nights at 9 o'clock, and we call it dive into the depths. And basically, it's kind of it's kind of laid back. It's fun. Basically, I kind of bring some articles. I read some articles, different all from all Sasquatch, alien, whatever different
Yeah.
weird cryptids, and then we discuss it. And I try to find articles that he's never heard of, and I try to catch him unaware, and then we have
It's
some great
Yes.
conversation.
Y'all
And
are
so
hilarious together. I love it. You have such a great dynamic with you two. It's such a perfect
we do.
combination,
We have
and a
fun.
great idea for
Yeah.
a show, a mom and
Yeah.
son, and you both are into the paranormal. You both are very experienced, and
Thank you.
yeah, and you just have that we call it rapport. You
Yeah.
have that back and forth. It's just so genuine, and I think
Thank
everybody really
you.
enjoys that.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. It's
y'all.
just us being us. I mean, You know,
Yeah.
we that's just how we relate to each other, and we tease each other, and we have a really good time, and we're very close, and it's a lot of fun. And I have the same relationship with both of my sons, and I feel blessed that I'm able to have that closeness with them, and we joke around and we tease each other, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I love that. Well, do you have any advice for people, especially, families that want to get out in the woods and go and they're interested
Mhm.
in Sasquatch and doing some research? What
Yeah.
kind of advice would you give people?
Keep an open mind. Be open. Just be open to what's the possibilities that are out there, and go camping. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not saying go out hiking. I'm not saying go out and knock on trees. Go camping. Go
Yeah.
fishing. Live your life with the knowledge that yes, they're there and they're watching you. Just live your life. That's it.
Yeah. And what about people who are that have contact with ETs, and especially people who have never experienced that before and are having recent contact? And we know it's kind of ramped up right now. Do you have
Yeah.
anything to tell people with that, and any
You know,
advice?
what I would say is I what I would tell people, the best advice as far as ETs, meditation. Meditation is going to be the key to help you through that trauma, if it's trauma
Yeah.
for you, if it's triggering for you. Meditation also for paranormal and Sasquatch and everything else. Actually, meditation is really what's going to get you there and give you the peace and then give you the clarity that you need and to ground you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I agree 100%. I do. Well, Marty, what nights do you have shows? So everybody can tune in to your live shows.
Yeah. So my show, the Nonnaboss Continuum, is on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I try to keep an hour, but it never happens. It always goes way over. So be
It's okay.
prepared,
It's
people.
very entertaining. Yeah.
And then on Monday nights, Matt and I have our show together, Dive into the Depths at 9 o'clock on Monday nights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eastern time, because we're on the East
Yes.
Coast over here. Yeah,
Yes.
so everybody,
Eastern.
please tune in. Please
Thank you.
subscribe to the Nonnaboss
Thank
Continuum,
you.
and yeah, Marty, thank you so much for coming
No,
on. This has been
thank
so
you
much
for
fun.
having me. I loved it. It was so much
Thank
fun.
you. Well, I think
Yeah.
everybody in the chat has subscribed if they hadn't already been subscribed to your channel. So
Yay. Thank you all so
yeah,
much.
yeah, we have a great chat here. So Marty,
Yeah.
please come back. Let's do
Of
this again.
course.
This is a lot of fun. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you. I'll see you soon. We'll see you on your
Okay.
show next weekend.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right, y'all. That was awesome, of course. Don't forget, right after the show, you can join the After Hours crew. They're going to take you on an incredible journey for the next 3 hours. Next time on Off the Trails, my guest is Glenn Rojas, aka Brown Dwarf. You guys know him from the chats. And we'll be talking about Northern California Sasquatch, and I can't wait to see y'all there. But for now, I'm the Cryptid Huntress. I don't remember my name, Jessica Jones. And I'm headed off the trail, and I will see you guys next Saturday night. Y'all have a great week, and I'll see you then. Bye.